We've got a lot of stuff going on tonight. We have a raffle going and a silent auction in the back room. Both of these are for Project 1991, a sponsored project from the Center for Human Rights and Civil Liberties. We have an affiliate organization in Sierra Leone that attempts to do the same things that we do here, which is on-the-ground, grassroots human rights activism. So just so you guys know, those things are going on in the back. To start off with, my name is Deanna Clyde-Singleton, and this is Emily Hoxie. I'm the moderator for the Center for Human Rights and Civil Liberties, and Emily is the communications coordinator, but she's my right-hand woman. And on behalf of the center and all the groups on USM's campus, I would like to thank you warmly for being here tonight. This means so much to all of us. I don't want to cry, but this means the world to me. Hattiesburg has a long-standing tradition of human rights. As many of you are well aware, Hattiesburg was the impetus for Freedom Summer. Hattiesburg was a whirlwind of human rights activities in the 1960s, and we have a deep, deep tradition of human rights. Howard Zinn is one of my heroes, and he came from Atlanta, passed up Birmingham, passed up Montgomery to come to Hattiesburg to help African Americans register to vote during the 1960s. Hattiesburg took the world by storm, and somewhere along the way, that tradition has been not lost, not forgotten, but kind of put on the back shelf. And tonight, you all here, and the people who couldn't make it, but the people who've been behind the scenes working with us for over a year now to make this week and all the events that happened and tonight possible are part of that tradition and a part of a new legacy of human rights in Hattiesburg and human rights around the world. This might seem like a mixer, it might seem, you know, friends meeting and greeting and eating food, which is what we're doing, but there's so much more going on here tonight. It starts with communities like this. It starts with the people, and it starts with having human rights in your heart. And it starts with having a love for your fellow humans. No matter what background, no matter what race, no matter what color or creed, religion. Throughout this week, we've had a series of forums, and every night, and in Emily's and I, trials and tribulations throughout this week, we have seen the wonders of the human spirit and of resilience, and magical things can happen when you set your heart to doing something, especially when it's positive, and especially when it has long-lasting, far-reaching things associated with it. It's a beautiful thing. I just wanted to thank you all for coming here tonight, and I wanted to give you a round of applause. Emily Hoxie has been by my side for so long, and I asked her to come up here tonight to speak to you about the Center for Human Rights and all the things that we've done and why, also from the academic perspective, why tonight is so important. Emily?
Thank you, Deanna. So, with kind of keeping with the tradition of Hattiesburg as being a civil rights center, the USM started a Center for Human Rights and Civil Liberties a few years ago, and recently we've restructured it over this past year to have two different boards. We have an advisory board, which is the faculty side of it, and then we have a board of directors, which is completely student-led. And the board of directors consists of, it works as an umbrella organization of all human rights affiliated groups on campus. So it allows us to come together and plan events, to just give each other guidance and assistance, because being small, human rights oriented groups can be kind of challenging on a big campus. And it gives us a sense of community that is so important in, fighting against human rights violations. And not only is it important for USM, but it's important for the whole country. We don't have very many schools in this country that offer a human rights minor. USM is one of them, especially a specific human rights minor. We're one of 4 schools in the country that has a Center for Human Rights, and typically people in the South don't associate the South with human rights. So the fact that we can bring that to the South and to the country is something that's truly keeping with the tradition of Hattiesburg to be such a civil rights center. So organizations who have come together to make this week possible. It was, I mean, Deanna and I, we both had such moments of joy this week to see people come out to the different forums and be able to address different human rights issues as a center. And it was wonderful, and we appreciate your support, and thank you so much for coming.
At this point in time, I would like to ask Betty Press to come up and give a brief introduction and explanation of what Project 1991 is. This center and the way we operate is inspired by this group, and so I just wanted to give her an opportunity to speak on our efforts with them and what you guys are already a part of just by being here.
So it's really great that the student group and the Human Rights Center has reached out to Sierra Leone. We were in Sierra Leone in 2008. In 2009, Bob was there on a Fulbright. And we just happened to sort of start this project, and it was just an idea, and then the students themselves there at Florida Bay College in Freetown, Sierra Leone, just took it over and said, we have suffered a civil war of 10 years, and we grew up during that time. We don't want this to happen again and to our children. So they then formed this group without any kinds of resources, with just a little bit of encouragement from Bob and myself, and then we left, and then they were on their own. But they kept it going. They're doing human rights education in all the secondary schools, which is a good way to reach the young people and tell them about what their rights are. And now they're also starting human rights groups in all of these schools and on the campuses. So these small group of students who, like you, they have a student life, and then they give their own time to this idea. And now they're going to keep it going as they graduate. They're going to become a community-based organization, and then they'll become sort of an umbrella group for the different campus organizations. And the last event they're just having right now is a hate speech forum, because an election is coming up in Sierra Leone. And there's a lot of, back and forth in these elections that can get a little bit over the top, a little bit violent sometimes. And so they're working on the forums to keep this election peaceful. And elections are always a time when things can really go wrong for a country sometimes. They've also just, because of their work, they've got a grant with the Tony Blair Foundation. Tony Blair Foundation is working on malaria prevention, which is also a human rights, to keep people healthy. And malaria is one of the worst diseases in Africa, especially for children. So because of their efforts in this other work, they've gotten this help from Tony Blair. So I think they're on their way to doing something, and it's something that we're trying to support, and I really appreciate the fact that the center here is willing to support this group and work with them. They need that encouragement. And I hope eventually we will have people from here going there. We might even have a relationship in terms of an exchange of students, or in some way keep that connection. So the proceeds from tonight will go to Project 1991. I really thank you all. So buy raffle tickets. The auction items are back there. If I could just mention the raffle items, just to say thank you for these groups around the town were really nice enough to give us gift certificates. There's T-Bones back there. There's A Gallery. There's Keg and Barrel. There's some of the student groups, Boom Boom Room. My book is back there. Some of the artwork from different local artists are back there. The Gold Pub and Grill and Blooms downtown, and the comic books are there from Fried Comics. So please, if you go to these people around town, say thank you. That they've been willing to do this. And if I could just say one more thing. Of course, Bob Press started the Center for Human Rights, and he's been my big support with my book, so I have to give him a hand of applause. but you guys are keeping it going.